Well, hello everybody. How are you? My name is Carolina. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch. Yeah, I've changed my setup here for my stitch with me. So hopefully this will look all right. If it doesn't, I hope you are stitching or possibly doing some other craft such as diamond painting, crocheting, knitting, and aren't too worried with what's on the screen. And if you are, and the angle's not so great, I apologize. I tried to make sure it was mainly just my project here in the frame, but the way I film Stitch With Me's, the video's like kind of upside down, and then I have to rotate it before I edit it, which Stitch With Me's actually don't edit too much, so that's a little bit helpful. Because that means that I can focus on just getting a good shot of the project and then doing my best to at least kind of have the stitching be in frame and not to worry too much about anything else. Now, we shall see how this looks once I actually upload it. And I guess I'll go from there. So hopefully you are actually seeing this and I didn't just chuck it. So yeah, today is May, I don't even know what day it is, May 20th, 21st? I think it's the 20th. Yes, it is the 20th. Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. Things are going pretty well for me. Husband works from home. He has been for a few years now. But I started working from home about a month and a half ago now. So, yeah. It's been pretty good. I've really been able to do pretty much everything. And certain processes have been digitized. So we've really been able to do everything that we normally do. So it's been good. I've been able to get a lot of stitching, which is really nice. One of the biggest reasons I usually can't stitch as much as I'd like is because of my commute. My commute to work is normally quite significant. But since I've been working from home, my commute literally is from one side of the house to the other side of the house. So no biggie there. Today is part of Mania. Some people are done with their Mania since many follow the original dates, which went through from May 1st to May 15th. Some people are still going ahead, and of course tons of different things nowadays. Whip Mania, Page Finish Mania, Monogamania, Original Mania, starting a new project every day. I didn't really follow any particular style. I just decided to work on 2 different mirrors. So this one here is the newest Mirabilia, and I do realize my pattern is somewhat visible, but I don't think it's too much of an issue, simply because I don't think you're gonna be able to see much of it, but I guess for the sake of trying to not have that on screen, I will put it off to the side. Oh, wrong piece of the pattern. So what I usually do is I take a magnet. This one didn't come from a needle minder. It was actually my husband's who gave it to me from something. And he's like, oh, can you use this for like your stitchy thing? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll figure out a way to use it. Oh, by the way, really random. I usually try to put some sort of thicker paper, cardboard, something in between my pattern and my fabric, because I usually put my pattern somewhere on the project, and you know, held down with a larger needle minder, and I mark on it. But I've had through, you know, personal experience, I've discovered that many a time I end up sort of messing up a little bit. What do I mean by that? I end up getting the marking, like, I don't get it on the fabric on purpose, but it sometimes just after so much marking and the pressure, it goes through onto the fabric. It hasn't been an issue as of yet where it's something I haven't stitched over, or, you know, it was able to like be smudged off or whatnot, but I don't want that to happen again. So now I put something in between my pattern and the fabric if I choose to do that. So yeah, but anyway, magnet from the hubby. This is a Lowry stand, which is metal, so I just use that magnet to kind of hold up my pattern, sometimes here on the clamp or on the arm that connects to the rest of the frame. But a lot of times I just put it on the fabric so it's easier to see. But for the sake of not showing the pattern on the video for an elongated period of time, I will go ahead and move it. So yeah, so I was talking about my mania. At first I was like, I'm not really going to do mania, I'm just going to focus on finishing projects, because my goal this year was to whip down, and it still kind of is. I really tried to stick to the projects I originally planned on working. I have had a few new starts, but my plan is to, at one point in the year, finish at least 2 of my new starts, so that will mean I won't have quite as many whips. From my original planned starts, there were only maybe 2 that I planned on carrying over onto next year. Originally, I was going to do somewhere between 4 and 6 new starts. However, after the rumblings of No Starts 2021 through Virtual Stitchers, and actually making it a challenge with a prize, I've kind of loosened up on the 4 to 6 starts idea. I decided, you know what, if I start some stuff just to make sure that it's something that, you know, I've been wanting to work on, and now I don't have to wait a whole extra year to work on it because I never got around to starting it, then so be it. I won't necessarily add it into like my active whip pile until I fully pick it up again. If I decide to pick it up again in 2021, then I can, because it is a whip. But if I don't, and I decide to start it in 2022, or sorry, continue it in 2022, then I'll leave that be as well. So yeah. So anyway, I still haven't told you about my mania. Originally, I was just going to keep working on my projects, use my WhipGo as my guide, maybe pick some other projects that maybe weren't necessarily on WhipGo, but I thought I could finish or get close to finish from my active whip pile. But then when Princess Eliana came out last month on the 15th, I immediately ordered it because I was floored. So if you haven't seen her yet, she is the nearest full-size Mira. This month there were 2 Nora Corbetts released, but this is the latest full-size Mira. So I always forget which way I need to show it. I assume if I turn it around, then it's fine to show it upside down for me, but just in case, I will show it in both directions. So this is Princess Eliana, and she's absolutely gorgeous. Just in case, though I think this will be the upside down once I turn the camera. I don't even know if this is focusing, guys. But yeah, she's beautiful. Like I said, I ordered her the minute I saw her, and I figured, you know what, I'm gonna start it as soon as she arrives. I ended up not starting it quite as soon as she arrived because because I decided to frame my mania plants around miras. I have done a mira mania before, not last year, the year before I did a Mirabilia Mermaid Mania, and I worked on 5 different mermaids. 2 were Noras and 3 were full-sized miras. I have finished one of the miras and both Noras. I have 2 of those mermaids left, so that's still going on. But I thought, you know what? At one point, I believe it was last year, possibly 2 years ago. I'm starting to think actually 2 years ago. Whenever Damask Roses Mirabilia Design Number 1 went out of print, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it. It wasn't my favorite when I first saw it, but the more I came across it, the more I saw pictures of it stitched, I thought it was something I really liked and something I would enjoy stitching. So I decided to go ahead and purchase it, since it was, going out of print, and, when I decided to purchase it, it was still like, the regular price that you would pay. So I got that, and I ordered fabric through my LNS for her. And I even went through the trouble of fully kitting her up with all the flosses needed, and had her ready to go. And I don't know why I never actually started her. I just never did. So it sat there fully kitted up for like 2 years, unless it's been longer than that. And so when I purchased this and I thought about starting it, I was like, maybe I should start more than one project, especially because she wasn't going to be here on the 1st of May, Eliana. I figured she'd be here within the first week of May, but I knew for sure she wasn't going to be in May 1st. And I'm like, I kind of want to start something on May 1st. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to make my mania this year a Mirabilia Mania, but I'm going to dedicate a good amount of time to the projects. Since I'm not going to have Eliana on the 1st day of May, I have 2 choices. I can either wait, start her on the 5th, 6th, 7th, that whenever she arrived, and work on her through the full month, or I can pick something else. I decided to go ahead and pick Damask Roses for multiple reasons. Obviously, it was appealing because she was fully kitted up, but also I thought, wouldn't it be cool to kind of frame my mania with the very first Mirabilia design ever and the newest Mirabilia design? And that's kind of what I went with. I realized, of course, that Damask Roses is always going to be the oldest Mirabilia design. But obviously, Eliana will only be the newest design for another month. If you count the Noras, technically she's already the 2nd newest. But if you're counting just the miras, then she's still going to be the newest until next month. But it's fine, it's not like anything that's a big deal. I just thought it'd be fun. So I decided, all right, well, I might as well start Damask Roses first, with it being number 1, and then starting Eliana halfway through. So originally I was going to start her on the 15th, but the lovely Letitia, the crafty curator, also mentioned how she fell in love with her and purchased her the minute she saw her. And she didn't know when, but she knew she wanted to start her in May at some point. So she's following a Stitch Sania method originated by Stephanie of Lindy Stitches, where and she works on a project that's been a whip for a long time. If she reaches the goal she has set within the week, she will start a new project on the weekend. So Letitia decided to follow this method. She didn't set any particular goal. She just said, I'm going to work as hard as I can on my whip, which she chose her chatelaine. And after that, every weekend I'm going to start something that I've been wanting to start, regardless of how far I get. I just want to make progress. So when she mentioned that in her video, I was kind of like, hey, would you be interested in stitching, starting her on the same day? I was going to start around the 15th, but if you are, you know, starting your projects on a Saturday, I will gladly wait until the 16th. And she says, sure, let's do it. So that's what we did. So I stitched on damask roses for one more day. Then towards the end of the day, kind of prepped Eliana by, you know, making my working copies and getting the fabric figured out. I actually have had this fabric for a very long time. It was a stash and load purchase, so unfortunately I don't know the name. I can tell it's an even weave, but I don't know exactly what even weave it is. It definitely does not feel like a Jobelin, but it doesn't really feel like Lugana either. So I'm not really sure what it is, but I just know when I saw the picture of this, it was gorgeous and I immediately wanted it. And you know, the seller had it at a reasonable price. It wasn't anything crazy, so I went and got it. So unfortunately, I don't know the name. However, I have used a fabric from Picture This Plus called Meditation. I've gotten the 32 count opalescent and Lugana. This is clearly a 28 count. You can just kind of tell. If you've been working with cross stitch fabrics, you kind of can tell some of these sizes when you look at it, especially if it's a size you use often. But of course, you can always check by measuring how many holes there are to an inch. And it is a 28 count. So it's similar to that. And the 32 count I've used dyes a lot lighter. It's definitely a purple white mix, but it could just be, if this is Meditation, it could just be that whatever this fabric is at the 28 count size, dyes this dark. So if you are looking for it, unfortunately, I don't know what it is. And I have had a couple people ask me, but I told them just that. I said, listen, I've used a fabric that's similar to this. I don't know if that's what it is, but at least you'll get a similar effect if that's what you're looking for. So if you're interested, that's what it is. It looks like a purple white model. So you can either look through your favorite dyer to see if they have a fabric that's a purple white model with opalescence, or if you just want to get something that is at least similar, you can try Meditation by Picture This Plus, and it should dye darker on a linen, or maybe a 28 count just dyes a little bit darker. So yeah. But anyway, so today is what, the 21st, so this is my 4th day. No, it's the 20th still. So it's what, my 5th day? I guess it is my 5th day working on it. Huh. I don't know why I thought it was the 4th day. Probably because I didn't do an update picture yesterday, because I stitched very little on it yesterday. But, you know, it's no biggie. That's kind of how it goes. Some days I get to stitch more, some days I get to stitch less. I do notice that the progress on Eliana is going a lot slower for me than it did for Damask Roses, but that's understandable. Damask Roses has a lot of big areas of the same color, whereas this, it's a, you know, part of the appeal is that she is so colorful. She actually uses all 35 new colors plus, I don't know if it's exactly 35, I think it's not exactly 35, but around another 30 from the regular line or the previously established line. I guess eventually these are just going to be part of the line. One day there'll be new colors, who knows. But yeah, so because she did incorporate so many colors, there's a lot of hodgepodge going on with the design, which is fine. I don't mind it, but it definitely makes progress a little bit slower. Regardless, I'm hoping to get this bottom quarter of her dress done. If I get more, great. If you know I don't, I'm not going to be upset about it. I have been really embracing my Q-snaps and hoops. I actually tried using a hoop with Damask Roses, but because that one was on a Jobelin, I realized that when I was trying to tighten the fabric in the hoop, it was warping the threads that were getting caught on the edge of the hoop. And I was like, well, this isn't gonna work. So I switched to a Q-snap. I do have a scroll frame, and I thought about setting it up, but you know what? I don't know. I just kind of have been in this hoop / Q-snap phase. Q-snaps are usually my preferred form of frame for stitching. But yeah, let me see if I can put this a little more in the frame. I know it's not the best to see the stitching, but like I said, hopefully you're here for the conversation and not too much to just actually like watch every single stitch happen. I realize I'm working in an area that's kind of far. You can't even tell, but eventually I'm going to work my way up here and you should see a little better. So I do apologize if you're actually trying to see what's going on and you're having a hard time. I mean, let me know in the comments, by the way, if that is something that you're like, well, that kind of made it not very fun. Because if it really is, you know, if there's enough, you know, if there is interest in just watching the actual stitching, like, I'll try to be a little bit better about keeping it in frame or showing it. But I just don't want to, I'd rather make one than not make one. So I will play with the angles of the cameras if I need to. So let me know if that's something that really does bother you and you'd rather the stitching be the actual area I'm stitching in and all of that be more visible. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I do have scroll frames from like Michaels and such, and I have Omanik frames, which I do like. The only thing I wish you could do with the Omanik, but I realize it affects the tension, is, you know, the way the Omanik locks, like let's say this is the Omanik and I've locked onto this section, I have to take the sides completely apart to move to a different section. Whereas with other scroll frames, you literally can just like roll, like here, you know, like if this is the end, I could roll, you know, up here, loosen it down here, tighten it up here, and move the fabric without really necessarily taking the frame apart. Which you can't really do that with the Omanik or the Millennium. So, you know, but the tension of the fabric is wonderful with the Omanik, amazing. So it's just, I guess it's just phases, just like we go through certain designers, certain styles. I've also gone through stitching in hand phases, so you know, kind of is what it is. But anyway, I digress, as I tend to do. So yeah, so I started this 4 days ago with Letitia. Looking forward to working on her for the rest of the month. I'm not sure if she's gonna come back out this year even, but I'll definitely work on her next year. I predict I will want to keep working on her as soon as I'm able to, but who knows. I do have a lot of whips, and I'm sure there are other things I'm going to want to start, especially with No Starts 2021 being a thing for me. I'm really looking at just not being too careful anymore with how many things I start this year. I am going to try and hold off and not start too many things now and wait closer to November, December to start things that like I'm feeling like starting closer to 2021, because I don't want to start a lot of things now and then run into new projects around the end of the year and be like, well, I might as well start them because No Starts 2021, and what if I decide I want to stitch on them and I can't? And, you know, I could just pull out some of those whips I need to finish, but you know how cross stitchers can be, at least the ones that like just starting whatever they're going to start. I know some people are very like, no, I'm going to stick to my 1 whip or 3 whips or 6 whips and that's it. And I'm not going to start another one until I finish at least one of these. Yeah. So we shall see. But yeah, so I'm going to try not to start too much. From my original plan starts, I still have 2 things that I haven't started. One, it has our planned date. It's going to be a stitch along with Dina of Half Stitch Cross Stitch, and it is, I belong to the Cross Stitch Nation, which I believe is by Heartstring Sampler. Yeah. The other is Crossword by Long Dog Samplers, which I'm supposed to start with people from my stitching group, and we haven't really talked about it much, so I should probably ask them if that's still happening on a specific date or not. If it isn't, and they're not planning on starting it, maybe I'll hold off on that one and possibly start it in 2022. Who knows? I mean, I do have the fabric and floss for it, so I can start it at any time. So we'll just see what happens with that one. Or if it's getting really close to December 31st, and I'm like, there is a possibility I'm gonna want to work on this next year, then I'll just start it so I can have it as a whip. But it was originally a planned start for this year. And I actually had one more, which I started prepping the fabric for, and then I never got around to starting, which is ABC de la Broderie by Jardin Privé. I've not yet started mine. Many people from the stitching group have. So yeah, that's a thing that needs to happen. And I do have one more start, which I really do need to get to. I was thinking of starting it in June. It's not very large, but one of the members of our stitching community at the Cross Stitch Cupboard passed away at the end of last month. And we're honoring her by stitching a piece from her favorite designer, who is By the Bay, or one of her favorite designers. So we've all ordered or brought out a pattern from Stash. From By the Bay, I did not have one, so I did order one. And we're going to stitch it up. And the idea is that in July, Karen, the owner of the Cross Stitch Cupboard, is going to display all the stitched pieces around a framed picture of our friend, Tilly. And it's just going to be honoring her, her life, and just our memory of her and keeping her memory alive. So yeah, that was definitely a sad day to get that news. But she had been battling cancer, so she fought very well, very bravely. I saw her. I don't remember if it was maybe a couple months before she passed. She came, she stitched for a bit, but towards the end, it was getting uncomfortable for her, so she didn't come in, but yeah, so I think that was, I thought that was a very nice thing to do, to stitch a piece for her, so I'll definitely be starting that, maybe even the very last day of May after I decide I finished with Eliana here for a while, get that going. I picked a Christmas pattern. I just thought it was amusing and fun, and something that she would find funny. It does have the words Merry Christmas on it, but I don't plan on stitching those, just the image, so I don't think it's gonna take too long. So yeah, I'll be working on that next month. But other than that, I don't really have any other starts planned out now. I'm thinking maybe of starting another of the Mira mermaids. I do have two currently that I haven't finished, which were from that Mermaid Mania. My plan is to finish one of them. My original plan was to finish two of them this year. I finished one so far, so I've got one more to go, which would leave me with just one. So I may start another mermaid before the end of the year, so I can have to stitch on. But the other Mira that I'm going to plan to start at some point is Moonflowers. I'd actually really enjoyed Moonflowers for a very long time. I think it's a beautiful pattern, and I don't know why, I just never got around to purchasing it. And Jessie and Belinda, which were the two I really knew of, but two other stitchers as well, started her a couple days ago here. Maybe not a couple days ago. It was probably like a good week and a half ago already. But for Mania, they started together, and I was like, man, you guys reminded me how much I really like that pattern. I really need to just get it. But I was like, well, I'll be fine. I've got plenty to stitch. I'll eventually, get it and start it, and I'm sure enjoy it. And then lo and behold, Mother's Day comes around, And my sweet mother-in-law got me a gift card, which covered the pattern, the water lilies, the one water lily, because it only has one, one of the Krynics. I had another of the Krynics, and the last one was out of stock, so I'll just eventually have to get it. And all the beads she needs that I did not already have. Technically, I'm one box short on one of the beads because according to the pattern, there are 3 packages required. And I really wanted to not spend more than the gift card amount. Because I'd already bought Eliana, and I'd been ordering some dye because I'm thinking of dyeing some fabric just for funsies, you know, for science. So I was like, you know what, I know it's just a few, you know, $1 and some change, but with the shipping, it'll bring it, you know, it'll bring it more than I really want to spend. You know, I want to try and keep it within the gift card amount. I think I spent like $3 because of the shipping. I didn't really want to add any more to it. So I was just like, you know what? Am I really going to need this pack of beads right now? No. Maybe I'll get lucky and the 2 packs of beads will be enough. I don't know. Maybe it won't. But, you know, like, I was being honest with myself. I'm like, I want to get it just because I want to have her complete. I'm so sorry about that shaking there. But at the same time, do I really need all the beads right now? Because even if I start her, I'm not going to be beading for a while. And if I do get to beading, you know, you like go all gung-ho on her and keep stitching till I'm ready to bead, then I'll just order the dang pack beads at that time. I really don't need it. But it's just one of those things where, you know, like if you're the kind of person that likes to have things completely kitted, you know, you'd understand that I was just like, oh, you know, what's the big deal? Let's just, you know, I don't need it. And then I'm like, oh, but then she won't be fully kitted, and why don't I just kit her up now? And, you know, ultimately I gave in and just bought the 2 packs so that I would stay within the amount of money I wanted to stay within. So yeah, so Moonflowers is going to happen at some point. I'm going to attempt to dye fabric. I may have some fabric that works in my stash, but I'm not 100% sure if it would. I haven't decided what color I want exactly, but I have a lot, you know, I have like different blues, purples, some teal dye, so I think all those colors would work really well with her. So it's gonna, you know, I'll eventually do it. If I'm really unhappy with the result, I'll wait till I can go to my LNS and see the fabric and get something that works with her. But yeah. So I've been very rambly this stitch with me, so rambly. So yeah, it's been crazy, and I feel like I haven't gotten that much done, but that's just because, like I said, this pattern is very hodgepodgey with where the colors go. Yeah. That was a quiet moment there. I don't even know what else to talk about. Maybe I should just end this. Who knows? Kind of having fun though. I was thinking of doing a tag, then I realized I've kind of been rambling for like half an hour, so I don't know if I should do a tag or just end it here. I'm gonna keep stitching, so I might as well keep recording, right? Actually got up pretty good time this morning. My daughter's been doing fairly well. with her wake up time. She's pretty much sleeping through the night now. There's a night here or there will she wake up for like a minute to maybe 5 minutes, but then she kind of just falls back asleep. So I haven't actually had to go in her room in a while now, which is very nice. She is 2 years and 3 months old. So, I mean, she should be sleeping through the night, so it's good. But as far as, you know, having to go in or that, you know, how that hasn't had to happen, but sometimes she does still wake me up. So I still have some nights where I don't get the best of sleep, especially if she jars me awake when I'm in like a really deep sleep. It just like, I feel like when that happens, it's just not as restful anymore. That broken sleep is just not the same. Even if I fall back asleep fairly quickly, which sometimes I don't. So yeah, but I mean, I've been doing pretty well, and I was actually able to take a nap earlier today. So yeah, I'm probably gonna stay up for a bit today. My husband got up very late today, but he went to bed also very late himself. So it's probably evening out. So he went to bed pretty early today. Now I know he's probably gonna wake up earlier than he would like. And usually I try to wake him up if he falls asleep like really early. I'll be like, you know, I'll go in there and trying to tighten it up over here because this corner is kind of loose, so I'm having to kind of pull the fabric from underneath to keep the tension where I want it. But anyway, yeah, usually I try and go in and wake him up because I know like he's the type of person that will just wake up after a certain number of hours. Doesn't matter when that time hits. Like if I go to bed really early and like my body wakes me up at 4:30, I will make myself go back to sleep, and I can usually. But even if I don't, I stay in bed and rest. He's like the type of person that will just wake up, and if it was at 3 that he woke up, then he's up at 3. If we, you know, like he can't like make himself go back to sleep if he's already gotten like the amount of hours of sleep he needs. Obviously, if he wakes up, but you know he's still not fully rested, then yes, he can go back to sleep. So I do feel a little bad because I feel like he's probably gonna wake up earlier than he would like to, but he kind of fell asleep too late for me to wake him up, because I know if I did, like he's just not gonna want to go back to sleep till a little bit too late into the night. So maybe I'll encourage him tomorrow to just take a nap, but take it, you know, early enough so that he can wake back up and work or chill on his computer and play. He likes, you know, PC games or read a book or something before he goes, you know, to sleep for the night. So that way, you know, he can still get rest, because I'm sure if he wakes up too early and he gets tired, he's going to want to sleep and he's going to fight it. But then he's just going to end up going to bed too early again. So I will probably just have him, you know, whenever, you know, kind of assess the situation tomorrow when I wake up and say like, hey, what time did you get up at? And encourage him to take a nap at the right time so that he can wake back up and go to sleep at a relatively normal time. But that means that I can stay up later, because if he's going to be up, he can get up with Isa. So like I've been saying, she's not been doing horrible with her sleeping. I apologize about that. There was a notification on my phone if you saw my finger come up at you there. So, I mean, it shouldn't be too bad where, like, she's waking us up at 5:30 or something. She was for a while, and I'm like, what is going on? Maybe, like, a month ago. And I was just, like, so upset because I'm like, oh, she'd finally gotten a good sleep schedule. She's been sleeping through the night, waking up anywhere between 6:30 and 7:30 on most days. And now it's been 5:30, you know, even at 4:50 for, goodness, about a week. And eventually we figured out it was because she was teething. She was getting molars. And that wasn't fun. So I think it was just hurting her, and she was sleeping through the pain of, teeth, forcing their way through her gums. Um, for, a tiny little 2-year-old, that's probably pretty awful. Until she, her little body just couldn't take it anymore, and she just woke up. She was also waking up, like, crying, because when she wakes up, she usually will just gurgle or play, not like baby gurgle, obviously she's a 2-year-old now, but just like she'll make noise. She won't like cry and scream. And she was just waking up very upset, crying, like scream crying. And so we knew something was up, but at first we weren't sure exactly what until we realized, oh, she is teething and it's her molars. And that's why we couldn't tell right away, because they're all the way in the back of her mouth. So it's not something that we realized right away. But thankfully that's been done for now. So she's been getting up very well, very good time, very decently. So for my hubby, it shouldn't be too bad, especially if he's already up. I'm sure he'll take her. We're trying to alternate days, especially now that I'm working from home. Usually, because I have the commute and he works from home, I will wake up with her and get her ready for school, for daycare, and take her, on my way to work, which it really isn't on the way to work, but obviously I'm the one that takes her, so I just have to make it work. It adds a little time, but not too much. Towards the end there, though, I was telling him, I really need some help. Even if you just get up and, like, I can still take her, but, like, watch her while I'm getting ready, because I'd be having to get up extra early to get ready and be ready for when she woke up. But at least if he gets up with her, even if it's just every other day or a couple times a week, it's so much easier, because I can get at least 20-30 more minutes of sleep, and shower without like feeling like I'm rushing, because she could be up in her crib and I wouldn't even know because I'm in the shower. But then of course everything happened with COVID and everything shutting down, and although I know things are slowly opening back up, as of now, I'm working from home till the end of the month. We'll see what May 30th brings, or if we find out a little bit earlier. I work for a university, and our summer semester is remote. So I could see it very possibly, that doesn't even make sense. I could see that it's very possible that I could work home till fall. But we shall see. I know they want to start repopulating the university for fall semester, unless things change and we have to have a remote fall semester as well. Basically, as long as the students are remote, it wouldn't necessarily make sense for people that work in my office to go back. But, if we're asked to go back, then, we will. Obviously. But if they told us to stay home through the summer, like, we could definitely do our job. So I can see the possibility of being home through summer. But anyway, my whole point is to say that obviously the mornings right now is more like, okay, who's gonna get up with her and be with her until like it's like the regular work day, and we both have to be up. So we're pretty much alternating days. And sometimes we'll do days back to back if one of us goes to bed really late or isn't feeling well or something like that. But for the most part, we've been alternating days getting up with her. So all that to say that I think I can stitch till a little later than usual tonight, because he's probably going to be up early anyway, so should be okay watching her. But I can't, I still have to see what the morning will bring, because if he's just super, super tired because he woke up really early, he'll probably still want help. But yeah, so that notification was definitely my battery. It's kind of going a little bit low. When I do Stitch With Me's, I use my phone to record, as opposed to my camcorder, which I do still actually have. and it was already at like 40% when I started recording. The camera kind of eats up battery pretty fast, so granted it's been what, 44 minutes. This has been a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, so I mean, that's not too bad. So I wanted to do a tag before I went, because I really am going to have to go. My phone's going to actually die soon. I recently started watching a new floss tuber, Georgia Girl Stitches. I'll put her channel name down below if you haven't checked her out already. And in her last video, she did the Rolodex random tag. And it sounded pretty fun, and it's not super long, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Originally I was going to do it so I would have something to talk about during the stitch with me, but you know what? I had plenty to talk about. But I might as well do it, knock it in here the last few minutes, and end the video out. And then maybe show you what I stitched, because you can't really see it too well. I feel kind of bad now. You're staring at the top of at least very beautiful colors, but my stitching's all the way down here, so I am sorry about that. But like I said, hopefully you're enjoying more of the conversation and are stitching yourself or doing some other craft and not necessarily intensely watching my stitches. Alright, so Rolodex random tag. Looks like there's 13 questions. So 1, how did you come up with your floss tube name? My floss tube name is actually Craft Makeup Food. I started YouTube in the ages where you could select many different names, and it wasn't necessarily attached to your Google account. And then at one point when I updated it, I don't even remember what my original channel name was, because it wasn't Crafts Makeup Food. It was something else, and I don't remember. I think it was just like my name, Curly Sue 4785, which is the email that I've had since like the 7th grade. And I still have. Well, technically not. I had a Yahoo email, curlysue4785@yahoo.com. I don't even know if I can still log into that. Maybe I could. When Gmail came out, I decided to make it curlysue4785@gmail.com. Which, was it 4785? Or was it just Curly Sue at the time? I don't even remember. I think it was Curly Sue. No! Oh my god, no! My original email was Springy Purple. Purple's my favorite color, and I'm very happy. My dad called it Springy, and he's like, I was like, what do you choose for an email name? You know, as my 7th grade self, where email wasn't the biggest thing, you know, and you know, it was a huge thing to get an email. And I actually asked my parents, like, is it okay if I get an email address? Because you know, there was a time where you would ask permission to get your own email address. I don't know if that's still a thing. Anyway, so yeah, but then eventually I came up with Curly Sue, so I guess that was more like my high school email. Anyhow, so I think that was my original channel name, and it was just my name because that was the email I signed up with. When I connected it to Google Gmail, it automatically made it my name. And I really wanted to have a channel name, but at that point I couldn't. So originally when I started my YouTube channel, I was in college and I was really into makeup. I still enjoy makeup, but like I definitely like I'm not into it as I was before. Been enjoying it recently, you know, getting ready for work and such. But I like would buy like tons of makeup, new eyeshadow palettes all the time. I mean, I do still buy new makeup, but it's very rare. I mean, except for things I want to replace, like mascara. You want to replace your mascara so you don't get like an infection. But I'm not buying like tons of eyeshadow palettes and stuff because I already have plenty of eyeshadow. And that I feel like it's a little easier to clean because you can spritz it with some alcohol. You can get yourself, I think it's 90% or 92%, which normal isopropyl is 70%. And I'm just checking to see my phone's not dying. And yeah, make it okay to use without, you know, you can't do that with mascara. But yeah, so I think I had some sort of makeup name before. and I don't anymore. So eventually I thought I would want on my channel to do makeup videos, crafts videos, and baking videos. So I'm like, I want to incorporate all three things into my name. So at first I did stitch makeup food, but because I do like other crafts, even though I haven't done videos about them, I decided to make it crafts makeup food. I even drew my logo, which you can see at the top of my page here on YouTube. And I think when I first started my floss tube videos, I did a couple of makeup related videos. I never did any baking or food related videos. And it's really just been all about cross stitch all the time here. At this point, like, I do have interest to make those videos, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, all the people that are subscribed to my channel are here for cross stitch. So why would I make, you know, like nail videos, even though I have those ideas? Maybe I'll find some other way to do that, but for now, it's really just the cross stitch videos. So I could change my name, but at this point, a lot of you guys know me by that name. People that have mentioned something related to me in their videos know that name. So why change it at this point? And I still am interested in other crafts, makeup, and food. So just because I'm not making videos about them doesn't mean they're not still my interests. And it's my name that people know me as. So I feel kind of silly changing it now. The time has passed. So yeah. That's number one. Number two, what is one word you would never use to describe yourself and why? I don't know. It's easier to think of a word that I would use to describe myself, not a word I wouldn't use to describe myself. And my husband's sleeping, so I can't ask him, darn it. I know this is going to sound weird, but in a sense, calm. Not calm, but see, I would use to describe that word to describe myself. It's just the closest word I can think of to what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is that I would always describe myself as very enthusiastic, so maybe non-enthusiastic. Is that cheating, since technically it's the opposite of a word? I'm gonna go with that because I'm always very excited, enthusiastic about things. Like I said, my original email was Springy Purple, and it was suggested by my dad because of my personality. And I think my husband would be upset if I told you this, but when we first started dating in high school, we actually were together for like a week or so, and then he was like, I kind of need a break. Sometimes you're just too much. I really like you, but I don't know. Like, you're just so excited all the time. And he like gets mad at me sometimes when I bring this up, but in a joking way, and he's like, har, yeah, I know. You ended up being the right person for me. I was just dumb and a teenager at the time. And I was like, it's okay. It's just funny to bring up sometimes. So I was like, do you remember when you thought like maybe it wouldn't work out because I was just so enthusiastic all the time? And we've been together for like 16 years. And he's like, yeah. So it's funny. But anyway, so non-enthusiastic, whatever the opposite of enthusiastic is. What type of music makes your teeth grind and why? I'm trying to go fast because I know it's been a while and my phone is going to die any minute. Heavy metal, probably. I feel like there's at least one song in every genre, though, that I would like. Like, there's been music that I'm like, I would never like this. And I found songs that I do think are okay. But I think probably heavy metal is the one that makes my teeth grind the most. And there are songs that after a while, certain types of music that after a while I just can't deal with. Because it's repetitive or the sound isn't something I already enjoy, so it just gets to be too much. But I enjoy it for a little bit. So I would say the most one that I'd probably shut off the fastest would be heavy metal. All right. Number 4, if you could join any TV sitcom, what would it be and why? I have no idea because I don't really watch sitcoms. So I kind of feel like it'd be unfair to answer that question because I'd be pulling at thin air. So I hope that doesn't upset you, but I just I don't watch enough to really pick one. I would just literally be grasping at straws and picking a name just to pick a name. So I'm just going to skip that one. Number 5, if you can choose one animal to help you win a fight, which would it be and why? I'm going to kind of go with similar to what Georgia girl said. Oh my god, I feel so bad. I do know your name is just slipping my mind right now. She said it depends what you're fighting. And it kind of really does. I feel like more information is necessary to give an accurate answer. But I'm assuming that you mean somewhere where I would need a lot of brute force. So if that were the case, probably a lioness. Because they know how to fight. They hunt. They protect their young. They know what's up. If that's something else what was meant by this question and we do get clarification, then I will modify my answer as needed. Number 6, what is your go-to feel good movie? Technically, these aren't movies. They are recorded stage productions. And I think you're going to find it amusing that it tells you it makes me feel good. But I am a big Broadway fan. Oh my god, my phone's almost dead. All right, let's finish this up. So, let me see if actually, you know what? Why don't I just go get my charger? Okay. So, I'm a big Broadway fan. 2 of my favorite shows are The Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables. And there's a 25th anniversary celebration of both of those. The Les Mis is more concert style. The characters are in costume and scenes are somewhat semi-played out, but it's not the full stage production. It's just kind of in a concert style. But Phantom is the full show recorded. And both of those make me feel so good. Feel good movies. Even though they're kind of somewhat sad. They make me feel really good because it's just amazing, talented actors and singers that are performing these roles, and I just get into it and I sing along, and it's wonderful, and I love watching them. So those 2 are definitely feel good go-tos, and they make the time go super fast, especially Les Mis, which is actually quite a long production. It feels like it's done in no time at all. So yeah. Number 7, what would you sing at a karaoke? I'm not really the best of singers, which has always been a little bit frustrating for me because I love musical theater and Broadway shows. And I did participate in some in my middle and high school days. However, I was never the only time I got to play a bigger character was in a play I was in my summer between 9th and 10th grade. And it happened to be a character in a musical production that didn't have any solo singing lines. Anytime she sung, it was at least in a small group of people or the entire ensemble. So it was a perfect role for me because I feel like I can act well and I enjoy it. But singing, I mean, I suppose if I trained and I went to a voice coach, I could be okay at singing, but it's definitely not something that I ever felt as comfortable with. But I still enjoy watching the musicals and singing along to myself. I've never had the guts to sing at a karaoke. I've thumbed through the books the few times I have been, and I never went up. I think if I decided to go up, I'd just sing something fun. Probably like Ain't No Mountain High Enough. That one's just like a fun song to kind of belt out, and it's just whatever. And I enjoy it. Number 8. If you were a superhero, what power would you choose and why? That one's kind of hard. I don't even know if this counts as a superpower since I'm technically stealing it from Harry Potter, the Harry Potter universe, but the ability to apparate, which is kind of also what Georgia Ghost did. You know what? I need to look up her name. I feel terrible. Oh my god. Okay. I know you can't see me, but I'm like reaching around. If I even can find her name. Oh my gosh, my computer's being slow. Okay. Georgia Girl Stitchers, Stitches, she's awesome. I just like her name slipping her mind. I'm so sorry if you're watching this. I feel like that's such a horrible thing to forget someone's name, but in my mind, you're Georgia Girl Stitches. Go Dogs, right? I'm so sorry. Okay. So let me just go back to this so I can finish this video up and stop being foolish. But yeah, I'm kind of stealing her answer because she mentioned like also just being able to instantly get somewhere. But like in my mind, like I'm thinking of apparition. Now, however, I don't know if there's certain restrictions to apparitions because wizards and witches also use port keys in the Harry Potter universe. So I wonder if there's a limit to how far you can apparate. I don't know. Or maybe you need to use port keys if you're leaving your country, maybe? I don't know. No, I don't know. But yeah, the ability to apparate and get to places instantly. Assuming that means you can go anywhere you wish. Because that would be great to not have commute times unless you chose to have them. Number 9, what did you want to be as a child? A doctor? I knew I wanted to work with children, so I was thinking probably a pediatrician. I did volunteer in hospitals through high school and college. I didn't actually get to work and volunteer in pediatrics till I was in college. But eventually I kind of realized, I mean, I guess it would depend on which area I chose. But I thought that it would be too heartbreaking for me to run into kids. And I know you're helping people very much, a great deal of people, but there are people who may not come out as you would wish, whether that means they didn't make it or they're, not as healthy as they were before whatever led them to seek out a doctor happened. So that was a big part of it, which is why I decided to go for education instead. But also, I did take into consideration the loans, the time, having a family, being a mother was very important to me. And yes, I realize you can do all those things and be a doctor as well. But the things I wanted in life, aside from the career, outweighed the decision, the want to be in the medical field. So yeah. I did want to be that as a child, but I am happy where I'm at. I mean, there are many careers I kind of wish I could have explored, but, I am happy with the decision I made and where I am now at a university in higher ed. I'm not currently teaching at the moment, but I did teach for the past 7 years in the K-12 setting. My hope is to eventually teach classes in the university setting. Right now, I'm not in a position where I'm teaching, though. Number 10, what is the craziest / stupidest thing you've ever done as a dare? I don't think I've really done anything very dumb as a dare. So I don't think I can answer that question. I haven't really done anything like that. So kind of boring answer. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I haven't really done anything daring or dumb as a dare. If you had to describe yourself as one animal, what would it be and why? Going back to my personality and being all excited and fun all the time, I kind of want to lean towards hummingbird, because they're always fluttering about and flittering their wings really, 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 really fast, and that's kind of what I think of. So that's what I'm going to go with. Last question. No, second to last question, number 12. What is your favorite flavor of jelly bean? I don't know if this is technically cheating because they're not original jelly beans, but I really enjoy the Starburst jelly beans, and the red cherry ones are really yummy, which I guess regular jelly beans also have cherry, but the Starburst ones are much more fun in my opinion. The flavors are like just sweeter and more fun to eat than regular jelly beans, which I feel like sometimes can taste a little bit more pasty, if that's correct. I don't even know if that's, I don't know. I don't eat a lot of jelly beans. That's not usually my candy of choice, so that's really the most I can think of. Though recently I did try Nerds jelly beans, and those were really good because it was just really fun, because it was like a regular jelly bean on the inside and the Nerd coating on the outside, and that was really good. They came out around Easter, and my father-in-law loves buying jelly beans like on clearance or sale or whatever it is after Easter's already over, which Sheila, I know that you're all about that too, if you're watching. And he did not like the Nerds ones, so he gifted them to my husband and I enjoyed them for a little bit. They got a little stale and not too great tasting a little too quickly, probably because of when he bought them. But we got to enjoy a few handfuls of those, so I thought those were really good. And it wasn't even no particular favorite, like they were all good. I don't even remember what the flavors were, because I've only had them once, which was last year after Easter. I assume he didn't buy any this year, but who knows. I mean, they still have to get groceries, so maybe he got Instacart to pick them up. And truly now, last, number 13, do you sleep with a top sheet? Why or why not? Oh my gosh, when I watched Georgia Girl Stitch's video, which last, I get the feeling that your name might be Mary, and now I'm not sure. I'm gonna watch your video. Megan, not Mary. I'm so sorry. Megan! Georgia Girl Stitches, I really apologize. I feel terrible. Like, I should remember your name, and I'm sorry that I don't. But, like she said, she doesn't sleep with the top sheet because she tosses and turns, and it just comes off all the time, and I just didn't know that it was a thing that people possibly don't sleep with a top sheet. Like, I just thought that was what you did. I've always slept with a top sheet. I love sleeping with a top sheet. In fact, I also love sleeping with a blanket. To the point where if it's too hot, I will turn my fan on purpose so that it feels nice and cozy under my top sheet and blanket. So yes, I do sleep with a top sheet. And I feel very odd without one. And I've learned something new, because there are people that don't sleep with top sheets, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So thank you if you stuck around this long. I know this was a very hodgepodgey stitch with me. It really was. I'm sorry there were a couple quiet moments there, and I do hope that the angle wasn't so terrible that you just couldn't see anything at all. And for the times that you couldn't, like when I was stitching all the way over here in the furthest point up from the camera as possible, though maybe when I turn this around it will be easier to see, since technically this video is upside down for me. Maybe it will be okay. We shall see. Unless I uploaded and it was actually right side up all the time. Who knows? Weird things for me like that, right? So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed stitching with me and that the actual camera shot wasn't an issue, but if it did bother you, just let me know in the comments, guys. I mean, be nice, but let me know. And I will try and do my best to make it look a little bit better next time. As I get used to where my camera is now, I can, make things sort of work so that it looks a little better and the angle's a little bit better. But I guess that's goodbye for now. This is over an hour long at this point, so it's time for me to go, let my phone charge properly, and try and get a little bit more stitching done before I really, should get to bed so I can get enough rest for tomorrow. Thank you guys. I'm going to try and do a regular update maybe this weekend. We shall see. If not, next week. Let you know how my mania has been going and show you other projects I've worked on aside from Princess Eliana here. And I look forward to the next one. Bye, guys!